Okay, so in this video, I'm going to retouch on a subject that I probably covered over a decade or coming up to a decade ago, and that is we choose the life we live before we come down into the physical plane. And I'm going to be honest, when I first kind of came into this thought process, I did struggle with it because I was thinking of all the atrocities that have happened to innocent people all over the world, and I'm here and this concept is wanting me to go, well, they chose it. It's much more complex than that, obviously, and that's what I want to try and unpack in this video. It's not about me telling you what is and what isn't. It's about giving differing perspectives for you to sit with, for you to mull over, to do that introspection and see where you are and where you want to be and how it fits in with your belief systems. Does it fit in with your belief systems? We each walk our own path. So without further ado, let's get into it. Hi and welcome to Oakville Door. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Claire Attio. For those that are returning subscribers, thank you, thank you, thank you. And yes, that concept that we choose the life that we live before we even reincarnate. And it was very challenging for me to kind of get my head around. And I had to sit with it, and I kept questioning people and getting different perspectives. When you think about people that have been raped, murdered, senseless, where children have been robbed of their innocence, you automatically go to who would choose that. And yet that perspective, and from my own experiences, each and every time I have gone through a traumatic event, at the time, I'm going to be honest, and for a long time afterwards, I couldn't make head nor tail of it. I couldn't fathom it. I was angry. I was bitter for a while there, not for long. Bitterness isn't something that kind of sits in me for very long, thank goodness, but it does in some, and that's part of their journey as well. But very much the why me, and trying to take on the concept of I chose this, why the hell would I choose this? This is just nonsense. Nobody needs to go through this. That's the first things that come up, that disbelief, I think. Nobody chooses to go through this. And yet, on a spiritual level, on a soul level, there are many, many lessons that have us walk both polarities, that have us walk that lightness and that darkness, that help us to understand those polarities and to make peace with those polarities. And I know for me, a lot of the lessons and a lot of traumatic events that have happened in this physical reincarnation, some of it was karmic cycle cleanups, I'm not going to lie. Some of it was karmic lessons. So things that I hadn't learned in other reincarnations. Big one for me was boundaries. Where do I set those boundaries and how do I set those boundaries? And when I started setting boundaries, I did set them very, very high and very, very hard. And over time, as I got used to doing that, I was able to soften. But I do remember when I started setting boundaries, there was a lot of name calling and there was a lot of disbelief and a lot of, oh, well, you're just being selfish. Oh, we're all just being hard. Oh, well, you're just being Claire. And and I took that very personally to begin with. It took a long time not to take that personally. I was still carrying that people-pleasing mode and wanting to be this happy, bubbly Claire, which I am 98% of the time. But there are times when I'm not. There are times when I think, F you. And okay, you may say that's not very spiritual, but I would not be being authentic if I didn't take ownership of the times when I do feel like that. Every emotion is to be felt, the good, the bad, the ugly. They exist within all of us, and if we're denying them, then we're denying parts of ourselves. And when we're looking at some of the life experiences we've gone through, especially the ones that have been very unjust, have been very unfair, and have been very traumatic and have created lots and lots of hardships, we do have periods of times when we think, why me? What have I done? How have I done this? But when we actually do that introspection, when we're not just sitting in that woe going, why me? Why me? And we actually go, why me? What is there to learn in this? And I took inspiration from people that went through heavy, heavy trauma, and they got the help and they did the healing, and then they were able to openly talk about their experiences. They were able to use those experiences not to take away anything that happened to them, but to disseminate information so it didn't happen to other people, so that other people could understand the dynamics of a situation and understand the danger zones that weren't otherwise known if they had not opened up. So I took inspiration from those types of people. And there are many, many videos out there. There are many, many people that have shared their stories in a very positive way. Their stories being horrific and well, yeah, horrific, horrifying. You wonder how they survived. You wonder how they came out the other side and they still have their sanity. And yet they have. They didn't allow that experience to define them in a negative way. They used that experience. They used the negativity and they alchemized it into healing power for themselves. I do believe that there are many aspects of our lives and the situations that arise within our lives that are there because we said, hey, I want to learn that. I want to experience that. Even the horrific things, I want to be able to experience that and to see if I have enough reserve, enough energy, enough love in my heart to be able to come out of the other side. I have enough power, I have enough knowledge to be able to alchemize that negativity, that horrific situation into something positive. And I believe that on a spiritual level that we do that. And in my head, and I do say that, it's in my head, I visualized when I started coming across this concept and was trying to get it visualized having those conversations as a soul being, and then the things that needed to be horrific, that I needed to learn, that I needed to witness, that I needed to experience from a soul level, to have people that I knew would do it. And so in this physical realm, I encountered those people. And the one thing that came out of that, and it's only something that's really that I've really acknowledged in the last 6-7 years, probably, possibly a bit longer, but really deeply integrated, was that when you do take on that concept, if that concept resonates with you, it allows for greater forgiveness. It allows you to step away and go, okay, on some level, on another realm, as my soul self, I asked that person to do that, and there was sufficient love there that they said, yeah, I will do that. It's like that parent scenario, and it's, you know, obviously parents, well, I say obviously, there are some parents that are those karmics and are those very, very hard lessons for their children. But the majority of parents don't want or don't intentionally hurt their children. And yet there are times in parenting that we have to make very, very hard decisions. And we do that out of love. And I see this just on a much, much grander scale. And so that allows me, once I've sat in my woe and I've licked my wounds and then I've done the healing, because that process is needed, and I've done the grieving because that process is also needed, I'm then able to apply the forgiveness. And so it is a beautiful concept to consider on your spiritual journey. It does allow for a greater expansion of self. It is one of those challenging concepts of the spiritual journey, and not everybody takes it on, and that is part of their journey. There is no right or wrong. It's what's right for you at that time, in that moment. Just remember that. And if something doesn't feel right now, but then you come back to it in 2 years and it comes onto your spectrum again and it feels slightly different, don't ignore that slightly different feeling. Explore it again with open-mindedness. Your views, your life experiences may have readjusted your path a little bit. Don't negate just because you made a decision 3 years ago that no, that's not a concept you want to take on board. It may never be a concept. You may come back to it 3 or 4 times in your lifetime and it never be a concept that you want to take on board. And that is right for you. But don't just shut it down because you've made that decision before. Stay open and explore it again. So I hope this has helped. If you've liked the video, then hit that like button. If you've not yet subscribed, then please subscribe. Until next time, beautiful souls, take care.